Ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest. When we lose someone we care about, our natural instinct is to chase, to beg, to do anything in our power to pull them back into our lives. But let me tell you something. Chasing never works. If you want him to come back, not just return, but crave you 200% more than before, you have to change your strategy. See, relationships are all about emotions, not logic. No one comes back because of a perfectly written text or a desperate plea. They come back because something inside them feels an undeniable pull toward you. And today, I'm going to show you how to create that pull. Understand emotional triggers. People don't miss you because you tell them to. They miss you because they feel something missing inside them. Instead of pushing, you must create an emotional gap, a space that only you can fill. Pull back, let them feel your absence, and trust me, that space will start to feel uncomfortable for them. Scarcity creates value. If something is always available, we take it for granted. But the moment it becomes rare, our mind shifts. You need to become rare. Stop checking in, stop waiting. Instead, become the version of yourself that is so powerful, so self-sufficient, that they wonder, did I make a mistake? Reactivate the emotional bond. Memories are the most powerful triggers. A song, a place, a scent. These things bring emotions rushing back. Instead of reminding them that they left, subtly remind them why they fell for you in the first place. Maybe it's that laughter, that energy, that unshakable confidence they were once drawn to. The law of attraction. Become magnetic. Let me ask you something. Are you someone they would regret losing? Because if you're in pain, waiting, and longing, that's not attractive. Power is attractive. Growth is magnetic. The moment you shift your focus to your goals, your health, and your personal success, they will feel the shift. That's when the desire returns. The psychology of influence. Do you know why some people are unforgettable? It's because they leave emotional imprints, mirroring their behavior subtly, reinforcing their best moments with you, and maintaining a sense of mystery all create a subconscious pull. When they feel good around you, they want more of that feeling. Control your energy, be the prize. Here's the biggest secret. When you chase, you lose power. When you focus on becoming your best self, you regain it. Energy is contagious. Confidence, abundance, and self-worth are irresistible. Instead of trying to make them come back, become someone they can't stay away from. Bottom line, stop trying to prove your worth, live it. Step into your power, embrace growth, and let them feel the absence of your presence. When you do this right, not only will they come back, but they will chase you 200% harder. People don't miss you because you tell them to. They miss you because they feel something missing inside themselves, an emotional gap, a void that only you can fill, and that's the key. If you want someone to come back to you, you don't do it by convincing them, arguing with them, or throwing logic at the situation. You do it by triggering the right emotions within them. Emotions that create an undeniable pull back in your direction. Think about the last time you truly missed someone. It wasn't because they kept reminding you they were there, was it? No. It was because something in your life felt incomplete without them. Maybe it was the way they made you laugh at the most unexpected times. Maybe it was the feeling of comfort you had when you were around them. Maybe it was the way they challenged you to grow, or the way they made ordinary moments feel special. Whatever it was, the key thing is this. It wasn't about them constantly reaching out. It was about what they made you feel in their absence. Now, here's where most people go wrong. When a relationship ends, when someone pulls away, the instinctive reaction is to push forward. You text them, call them, ask why things changed. You try to prove your worth, remind them of the good times, and convince them that being apart is a mistake. But here's the hard truth. That approach backfires. Why? Because when someone decides to leave or distance themselves, they've already mentally justified their decision. And if you come at them trying to force them back, all you're doing is reinforcing their reasons for leaving in the first place. Instead, the real power comes from creating space, but not just any space. This is intentional space. This is the kind of space that makes them feel something is missing. You want them to experience that moment where they reach for their phone to text you, only to realize you're not there waiting. You want them to go through their day and notice that the little things, your inside jokes, your presence, your energy, aren't there anymore. Gosh, that looks like you're out here, that you're actually Skyping or GIF. And most importantly, you want them to feel that emotional disconnection growing stronger to the point where they start questioning their own decision. But space alone isn't enough. There's a crucial element that makes this work even faster and more effectively: the emotional trigger. This is where you remind them, not with words, but with your energy and your actions, of exactly what they're missing. Maybe they always loved your sense of adventure, but lately they've only seen the side of you that's heartbroken and waiting. Maybe they admired your confidence, your drive, your ability to walk into a room and light it up, but now they see you as someone stuck in the pain of the past. That's the part you need to shift. And instead of using words to remind them, use transformation. Show them through your actions, your energy, and your presence that you are still the person they once couldn't resist. Even better, show them that you're more than that. When they see you thriving, laughing, engaging in life, they will feel the shift. And that feeling will plant the seed of doubt in their mind. Did I make a mistake? Why does it feel like they're slipping away? This is the emotional trigger that flips the dynamic. The moment someone starts to wonder whether they made the wrong decision is the moment they start coming back. But it doesn't happen by chance. It happens because you create the emotional contrast, the difference between how they expected you to react and how you actually show up. They expect you to be waiting, hurting, chasing. But instead, you are living, growing, and evolving. That contrast is powerful. That contrast makes them feel something, and feeling is what brings people back. Not logic, not reasoning, but emotion. Now, I know this isn't easy. I know when you care about someone, every part of you wants to reach out, to fix things, to hold on. But real strength, real power, comes from trusting the process. It comes from knowing that the best way to make someone miss you is not to remind them of what you had, it's to make them realize on their own what they've lost. And when you do this right, you won't just make them come back. You'll make them come back 200% more invested, more certain, and more drawn to you than ever before. If something is always available, we take it for granted. It's human nature. Think about the air you breathe. It's there, it's constant, and because it's always available, you don't think about it. But what happens the moment you feel like you can't breathe? Suddenly, air becomes the most valuable thing in the world. This same principle applies to relationships. When you are too available, when someone knows they can have you anytime they want, your value in their eyes decreases. But when your presence becomes rare, when they feel like they might be losing access to you, that's when they start to see your true worth. Now, let's be real. Most people do the exact opposite of what they should do when they want someone back. They think if they stay close, if they keep reminding the other person how much they love them, if they prove their devotion, that will somehow make them irresistible. But in reality, the more available you are, the less valuable you become in their mind, because they know you're there. They know you're waiting. And if they know that, there's no urgency for them to act. The secret is understanding the power of scarcity. Imagine you walk into a store and see a pair of shoes you kind of like. You're unsure if you should buy them. Then the salesperson tells you, this is the last pair in your size, and once it's gone, it's gone. Suddenly your brain shifts. That item that was just a maybe now feels like a must-have. You feel a sense of urgency because you realize if you don't act now, you might miss out. This is exactly what happens in relationships when someone starts to feel like they might actually be losing you. This doesn't mean playing games or manipulating someone. It means having a standard for yourself where you don't just wait around hoping they'll change their mind. It means stepping into your power and knowing that you are the prize. And when you start carrying yourself like the prize, something incredible happens. The person who once felt comfortable pulling away suddenly feels uncomfortable. They start to question themselves. They start to wonder why you're not chasing them. And in that moment, the balance of power shifts. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that love alone is enough to make someone stay. But love without value doesn't work. Think about it. People can love something and still not treat it well if they don't see its worth. You might love your phone, but if you knew you could replace it at any time, you wouldn't treat it with the same level of care as something rare and irreplaceable. In relationships, the same rule applies. When someone knows that you will always be there no matter what they do, they don't feel the need to appreciate you. But when they start to sense that they could actually lose you, their entire mindset shifts. So how do you create scarcity? You don't do it by pretending to be busy or ignoring their texts just to get a reaction. You do it by actually becoming someone who is focused on your own life, your own growth, and your own happiness. You create scarcity by shifting your energy away from them and back to yourself. Instead of trying to make them see your value, you elevate yourself in a way that forces them to notice. Maybe it means stepping into new experiences, rediscovering your confidence, or simply not giving them the same access to you that they once had. And here's the powerful part. When you stop making them the center of your world, they feel it. When you're no longer waiting for their texts, they notice. When you start living your life with purpose and passion, they sense the shift. And that's when the dynamic changes. They start thinking, wait, maybe I took them for granted. Maybe I didn't realize what I had. Maybe I need to act before it's too late. That's the moment they come back. Not because you begged, not because you proved your love, but because they suddenly recognize your value. And once they see your value, they don't just come back, they come back with a newfound appreciation, knowing they can't afford to lose you again. Memories are powerful. They have the ability to transport us back in time to make us feel emotions as if they were happening in the present. A single song, a familiar scent, or a particular place can bring back a flood of feelings, reminding us of moments that once meant everything. This is why reactivating the emotional bond is one of the most effective ways to make someone come back. Not by convincing them logically, but by triggering feelings they can't ignore. When someone walks away from a relationship, they do so with a certain narrative in their mind. They've convinced themselves that leaving was the right decision. Maybe they felt things became routine, or they stopped feeling the same spark they once had. Whatever the reason, they have justified their choice. This means that simply telling them why they should come back won't work. Logic doesn't undo emotional decisions, only emotions do. This is why you need to remind them, not with words, not with desperate messages, but with subtle emotional triggers. These triggers work beneath the surface, bypassing their rational mind and going straight to their feelings. The goal is to make them feel the connection they once had with you without forcing it. When done correctly, they won't even realize why they suddenly start thinking about you again. It will happen naturally. One of the most effective ways to reactivate the bond is through nostalgia. Think about the experiences that defined your relationship. Was there a song you both used to sing in the car? A place you always visited? A little habit or inside joke that was unique to just the two of you? These things don't just disappear when a relationship ends. They remain imprinted in the mind, waiting to be reawakened. Now, here's where most people go wrong. When they want someone back, they try to remind them directly. They send a text saying, remember when we used to do this? Or I miss those times when we... But this often backfires because it feels like pressure. It reminds the person that you're trying to pull them back in, which can push them further away. Instead, the key is to remind them indirectly. For example, let's say you and your ex always had a favorite restaurant. Instead of texting them about it, you might casually post a picture from that restaurant on social media. No words, no explanations, just a simple image that places the memory in their mind. If there was a song that held meaning in your relationship, maybe you add it to a playlist and let them discover it organically. The goal is not to force them to remember, but to allow them to. When they come across something that reminds them of you without you explicitly bringing it up, it feels natural, and their brain starts replaying those good times on its own. But nostalgia alone isn't enough. They also need to feel a shift in your energy. If they associate you with negativity, arguments, or desperation, then even the best memories won't be enough to pull them back. This is why you must become the version of yourself that they were first attracted to, or even better, an upgraded version of that. You need to show them through your actions that you are someone worth coming back to. If your relationship was once built on excitement and adventure, you need to be out there living your best life, not waiting around. If they fell for your confidence, your joy, your passion, you need to make sure that's what they see when they look at you now. People don't come back because they feel guilty or because you remind them of the past. They come back because they realize they miss what they had. And the only way they will truly miss you is if they see that you are still the incredible person they fell for, perhaps even more so now. Another powerful way to reactivate the emotional bond is through shared experiences. If you still have any connection to this person, through mutual friends, social media, or occasional interactions, you have an opportunity to subtly remind them of the best parts of your connection. Maybe you share a funny memory in a casual way during a group conversation. Maybe you engage in the kind of light, playful banter that used to define your connection. These small interactions, when done correctly, bring back positive emotional associations without pressure. And here's the real magic. When you focus on becoming instead of chasing, they feel it. When they see you thriving, when they sense that you are still that person they once felt deeply connected to, their mind starts asking questions. Did I give up too soon? Why do I feel this pull toward them again? And that's when they start coming back. Not because you asked them to, but because deep down they realize they want to. The law of attraction is not just a theory, it's a principle that governs human behavior in ways most people don't even realize. We are naturally drawn to people who exude confidence, purpose, and self-sufficiency. This is why the more you chase someone, the more they pull away. And the moment you stop chasing and start focusing on becoming your best self, everything shifts. Attraction isn't about convincing someone to come back. It's about becoming so magnetic that they feel an undeniable pull toward you. Think about the people you admire and are drawn to in your own life. Chances are they're not the ones constantly seeking validation or begging for attention. They are the ones who move with confidence, who have a strong sense of purpose, and who know their own worth. There's something about them that makes you want to be around them, to understand them, to be part of their energy. That's the same energy you need to cultivate if you want someone to feel the desire to come back into your life, not because you need them, but because you have become someone they don't want to be without. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they want someone back is that they focus outward instead of inward. They spend all their time thinking about what the other person is doing, what they're thinking, who they're talking to, and how to get their attention. But the real power move is the opposite. Instead of focusing on them, you need to shift your focus back to you. What kind of energy are you putting out into the world? Are you radiating confidence, joy, and growth? Or are you sitting in a state of lack, waiting for someone else to validate you? When you step into your power, you become magnetic. This means rediscovering the things that make you happy outside of the relationship. It means pouring your energy into your passions, your health, your personal development, and your social life. It means reminding yourself that your life was full before them and will be full with or without them. This shift in energy is what creates attraction. People want to be around those who make them feel good, who inspire them, who elevate their energy. If you become that person, they won't just want to come back, they will need to. But here's where it gets even more powerful. When you focus on your own growth, you start to change in ways that make them see you differently. Maybe they walked away thinking they had you all figured out, but suddenly they see a version of you they haven't seen before. Someone who is thriving, who is glowing, who is moving forward instead of holding on to the past. And that's when doubt starts to creep into their mind. Did I misjudge them? Did I give up too soon? How are they doing so well without me? Those questions create an internal conflict that makes them reevaluate everything. Now, does this mean you have to pretend to be happy when you're not? No. The goal is not to fake confidence or happiness. It's to genuinely build a life that excites you. When you do this authentically, the shift is undeniable. You start carrying yourself differently. Your conversations become more engaging. Your energy becomes more attractive. And people notice, not just the one person you're hoping will come back, but everyone around you. Opportunities start appearing, new people start showing interest, and suddenly you're not in a position of waiting, you're in a position of choosing. This is the ultimate power move. Instead of trying to make someone want you, you become someone they can't ignore. You become the version of yourself that is so fulfilled, so confident, so magnetic, that their only option is to wonder what they lost. And when they do, they don't just think about you, they feel the absence of your energy. And that feeling is what draws them back. Not because you ask them to, but because they realize they want to. People don't make decisions based on logic, they make them based on emotion. If you want someone to come back, it's not about convincing them with reasons, explanations, or reminders of what you had. It's about creating an emotional experience that makes them feel the pull toward you again. Humans are wired to seek out what makes them feel good and avoid what makes them feel bad. When you understand this, you realize that the key to making someone come back isn't pushing them, it's creating an environment where they naturally want to return. Most people approach this the wrong way. They think that if they can just make the other person understand their point of view, they'll change their mind. So they send long texts, pour their heart out, and try to prove why the relationship should work. But what they don't realize is that words rarely change feelings. If someone has emotionally disconnected, no amount of logic will bring them back. The only thing that can do that is reigniting the emotions that made them feel deeply connected to you in the first place. Think about it like this. Have you ever smelled a fragrance that instantly reminded you of someone? Maybe it was a song that took you back to a specific moment in time, or a place that made you feel something powerful. That's the power of emotional triggers. They bypass logic and go straight to the heart. The same thing happens in relationships. People don't miss you, they miss how they felt when they were with you. If you can recreate that feeling in their mind, they won't just remember you, they'll feel compelled to come back. The way you do this is by shifting the emotional experience they associate with you. If their last impression of you is one of desperation, sadness, or neediness, that's what they'll remember when they think of you. But if their last impression of you is one of confidence, positivity, and self-sufficiency, suddenly the entire narrative changes. They go from feeling like they made the right decision to questioning it. They go from feeling relieved to feeling the loss. One of the most powerful ways to create an emotional experience is through contrast. If they expect you to be broken, but instead they see you thriving, it disrupts their expectations. If they thought you'd always be there waiting, but instead they see you moving forward, it creates a sense of urgency. That emotional contrast makes them feel something, and that feeling plants the seed of doubt in their mind. Another key aspect of emotional reattraction is positive unpredictability. People are drawn to excitement, to things that keep them engaged and curious. If your interactions have become predictable, if they know exactly how you'll respond, what you'll say, and what you'll do, it becomes easy for them to detach. But when you introduce an element of surprise, whether through your actions, your growth, or your energy, you reawaken their interest. They start wondering what's different. Why do they seem more confident? Why does it feel like I'm losing my hold on them? That curiosity alone is enough to make them start reaching out again. But here's where it gets even more powerful. When you focus on becoming rather than convincing, you stop trying to control the situation and instead create an environment where they naturally feel drawn back to you. This means instead of focusing on what they're thinking or doing, you put all your energy into elevating yourself. You find joy in new experiences, you challenge yourself to grow, and you become someone who radiates confidence and fulfillment. And when they see that version of you, the version that is whole, strong, and thriving without them, it triggers something deep inside them. They start remembering the moments when they felt the most alive with you. They start questioning why they let you go, and that emotional shift is what makes them come back, not because you asked them to, but because they feel like they need to. When it comes to making someone come back, the final and most crucial step is patience. Most people sabotage their chances by rushing the process, expecting instant results, or reacting emotionally when things don't go as planned. But the truth is, attraction and emotional reconnection don't happen overnight. They take time to build, and if you don't allow that time to work in your favor, you risk pushing them even further away. Patience isn't just about waiting, it's about trusting the process. It's about understanding that the more you try to force something, the more resistance you create. Think about it like planting a seed. You wouldn't plant a seed and then keep digging it up every day to check if it's growing. You wouldn't pour water on it every hour, hoping it will sprout faster. That would only damage the process. Instead, you trust that with the right conditions, sunlight, water, time, that seed will grow on its own. Relationships work the same way. If you've done the right things, if you've pulled back, focused on yourself, and reactivated the emotional bond, you have to give them the space to feel the absence of you. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with patience in this process is fear. The fear that if they don't act, they'll lose the person forever. The fear that time apart will make them forget. But here's the truth. People don't forget what made them feel something powerful. If there was a deep connection between you and this person, that connection doesn't disappear just because you stop chasing them. In fact, it grows stronger when they start feeling what life is like without you. This is why giving them space is so critical. When you stop reaching out, when you stop trying to remind them of your presence, it forces them to process their own emotions. At first, they might feel relief. They might think, this is what I wanted. I needed space, and now I have it. But over time, that relief turns into curiosity, then into doubt, then into longing. They start wondering, why haven't they reached out? Have they moved on? And that's when their emotions start working in your favor. But if you break that silence too soon, if you give in to the urge to check in, to see how they're doing, or to seek reassurance, you reset the process. You relieve their discomfort before it has a chance to turn into missing you. And when you do that, you put yourself back in the position of chasing instead of attracting. Another important part of patience is emotional control. This means resisting the temptation to react impulsively based on your emotions. Maybe you see them posting on social media and it looks like they're doing fine without you. Maybe you hear that they've been talking to someone new. These moments can trigger panic, but reacting emotionally will only hurt your chances. Instead, you have to remind yourself that what they do in the short term is not what determines the final outcome. Often, when people break up, they try to distract themselves. They fill their time with new activities, new people, and new experiences. But that doesn't mean they're truly moving on. It just means they're avoiding their feelings. And avoidance doesn't last forever. What does last is the impression you leave behind. If you've done the right things, if you've shown that you are thriving, if you've created emotional triggers, if you've reactivated the bond, then time is working in your favor. They will start feeling the loss. They will start questioning their decision, but you have to give them the space to reach that realization on their own. This is where true strength comes in. Can you stay patient even when you don't see immediate results? Can you trust that your value will become clear to them over time? Because the person who remains patient, who remains calm, who doesn't break under pressure, that's the person who becomes truly irresistible. Not just to their ex, but to everyone around them. And here's the most powerful part. When you master patience, something shifts inside you. You start realizing that you're no longer waiting, you're choosing to focus on yourself, choosing to let things unfold naturally, choosing to let them come back on their own terms. And when they do, they won't just be coming back to the person they left. They'll be coming back to someone even better, someone they don't want to lose again. At the core of everything we've covered, one undeniable truth remains. You don't bring someone back by chasing them, you bring them back by becoming someone they can't stay away from. When you shift your focus from convincing them to remembering why they were drawn to you in the first place, everything changes. By reactivating the emotional bond, stepping into your own power, creating positive emotional experiences, and allowing space for attraction to build, you're not just making them come back. You're making them want to come back. And that's the key. It's not about manipulation, begging, or desperation. It's about becoming so magnetic, so fulfilled, so undeniably strong that their only option is to feel your absence and question their decision. But the most important part, this journey isn't just about them, it's about you. It's about realizing that your happiness, your growth, and your self-worth don't depend on anyone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, regardless of whether they return. Because when you do that, you not only attract them back, you attract everything else in life that is meant for you. So trust the process. Let them feel your absence. Let them rediscover what they lost. And in the meantime, become so powerful, so happy, and so complete that when they do come back, it's not because you needed them. It's because they realized they needed you.